Master's degree from Abida Inamda Senior College. Here I am today on behalf of Lit Magazine, Literature Redefined. Lit Magazine is brought to you by Abida Inamda Senior College's department. It is situated in Assam campus, Pune, India. Do not forget to check our website magazinelit.blogspot.com and our other channels for more information. Welcome to our talk show, Know Your Real Champions. Today, here we are in conversation with Dr. Monica Colati. Dr. Monica Colati is a cancer survivor and a trained immunologist and a holistic healer. She did her PhD in neuroimmunology from Zurich. But after her episode with cancer, she found herself getting drawn towards holistic living and education. She co-founded the NGO Living.Light In with Tara Nagpal and is also at faculty with Sakar, Sri Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Yeah.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
So I'll just share a bit about my own self. So I think you have already shared that I was doing a PhD in immunology in Zurich, Switzerland. And while I was completing my thesis, something was not making sense, as if I was missing on something. So I'll just share a brief detail on what happens in the research that I was doing. So we were studying autoimmunity. And in autoimmunity, what happens that the immune system, which is supposed to preserve the body, which is supposed to take care of the body, it turns against the body. Yeah, so the army, as if it's an Indian army which is supposed to defend India, it turns towards India and the army begins to shoot India itself. So that is what happens in autoimmunity. Yeah. So the immune system of the body does not recognize that the body is my own and I have to protect it, rather than it becomes to kind of comes to attack the body. And this is what happens in autoimmunity. So we were studying autoimmune disorders, and I was missing something, as if that emotional and mental aspect of the patient that we are dealing with, as if that is not considered enough when we are trying to find a treatment or a cure to autoimmune conditions. And while I was completing my thesis, I had to actually push myself to complete the thesis because I was not resonating with the stuff that I was doing. But I pushed myself, I completed the thesis, and after that, I began seeking in order to know what more accompanies a disease, for example. What about the mental aspect? About the emotions that we are? What all are there so that the disease happens in the body? Now, after my PhD, I began in search of this, like asking questions to myself and trying to find answers. And one of the profound teachers that helped me was Jiddu Krishnamurti. I toured several Krishnamurti schools in trying to understand the mental and emotional aspects of life and education also. And that really brought a lot into perspective. Then I worked a little bit, few years with Advait Life Education, which is in India itself, in Noida. And there also a lot of impetus I got into how emotional and mental aspects also can be integrated into education, which we are using in our day-to-day life, like MBA or other degrees. Because usually what happens, we are so involved with the mental aspect that we completely ignore the emotional aspect, and then we land up having more diseases and these autoimmune conditions. So in 2010, I got married, and in 2013 I had my first child. In 2014, while I was pregnant with the second child, I began to have bleeding in my urine. And later it turned out, after the delivery, that it was bladder cancer. It is bladder cancer that is growing on in my body. Now, thankfully, the question why me did not arrive with so much of intensity. Usually, whenever we have a disease like cancer or a life threatening disease, we ask, why did it happen to me? Now, that question did not bother me much somehow. I don't know why it did not bother me much. Somehow, what bothered me was that, okay, now this is my chance can I find out more about what a disease is like cancer. It's not that I was not in fear, it's not that I was not in anxiety. Yes, fear was there, anxiety was also there, but along with that, there was a wanting to learn about the disease, as if the disease is wanting to tell me a message. So can I get that message? Maybe emotional and mental things that were going on in my head have led to the disease, and I wanted to find that out, what has led to the disease. So after that, my journey began in kind of a self discovery, you can say. It has started after PhD, but more and more intensely it kind of went on. And then I encountered a few really beautiful therapists, healers on the way, which all of them helped me, in their own ways. And slowly, it became more obvious that cancer, which came to me, was nothing but a wake up call, so that my true essence, my truth of the being can come forward, and I can stop living a surface and a shallow life. Yeah, and after that, my life just became more, I would say, a dedication, that can I share this with more people, that when diseases come, that when challenges come in life, when dark depression, full of depression phases are there in life, they are nothing but a signal that a deeper light, your truth, wants to shine out. Can you give it some way? And that's what we do on livinglight.in, that you shared. Along with my friend Taruna, we founded this organization again as a outreach mechanism, that can we reach more people, because all of us go through pain, all of us go through suffering, all of us go through challenges and disease. Can we use all of them as a raw material, so that our truth of the being, the inner being, the divine light that we are, it comes forward and takes the charge of life, rather than being overwhelmed with the challenges and thinking about, why did this happen to me and all that. So that is what we do, and that is what my life is dedicated to. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight. It was really good to know. Without further ado, I would like to dive into the questions for the interview. So, my first question for you is, what was that inspired you to become an educator?
So, as I shared, I was deeply disillusioned with my own education. When I was in Zurich, I was wondering कि ये मैंने क्या किया है, what did I do really? After 12 years of school education, and after that bachelor's and then master's, and now I am here, and I don't even know myself. So what was missing in education? So that is what has been my question for deep inquiry, and that is what I have been following all my life after I got to know that there is something missing in education. That there is something very, very, the deep truth that we are human beings, that is missing in education. And that propelled me to dive into teachers like Krishnamurti, Advaitic teachers like Acharya Prashant, other teachers, holistic teachers, Rupert Spira, again, another beautiful teacher. And then I found myself getting more and more drawn towards life education, or integral life education, and that's where I resonated more and more with Sri Aurobindo and Mother's philosophy of education. And now the work that I do revolves around sharing, reading out, and delving deep into the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, what they have shared to the world about life education, integral, education, or education का true purpose क्या है? What is the true purpose of education? That without that inner light shining forward, education will remain incomplete. So that is what has propelled me to be into education. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, my audience here and I would really, really like to know a little bit about your childhood. So, could you please tell us a little about your childhood?
Childhood.
Yeah,
So, as a child, I would say that I was middle of three siblings. I have an elder brother and a younger sister, and I was just focused mostly on studies, and studies. In fact, the time where people are going through puberty and having these hormonal ups and downs, I just found myself studying. So somehow I had a deep connection with textbooks. I did not study any novels or any fictional literature while I was growing up. I just pushed myself into studying. Now, why I did that, I don't really know. Maybe I was just like that since the beginning. And all, yeah, and I also liked to study in the sense that biology, and uh, things like, mostly I loved biology basically, and also Hindi and Sanskrit and science, physics, chemistry, not really mathematics. Mathematics was not really my cup of tea, but I delved into subjects a lot. And that, I just remember mostly that from my childhood, that I was just very, very into studies and wanting to know more about so-called subjects that were there, because I was not exposed to much of literature as a child, but I enjoyed putting myself into books. So books were my companions as a child, and I also like to do art a lot. So I have drawn since the time I can remember myself. And in the meantime, I remember that what happened, that whenever a person is good at something, sometimes what happens, that people around you want you to be the center of attraction, that okay, go and get some prizes and maybe go to these competitions. And slowly I recognized that as I entered into competitions on drawing and these rewards and prizes, I lost the interest in drawing. So that was one thing which remained with me, that my focus changed to prizes and rewards rather than the interest in drawing, which I very late recognized when I was doing PhD in Zurich. And there I revived my interest of drawing, because drawing and sketching is something which has always made me more closer to myself. And I've been sketching since PhD now, and or on and off, again taking breaks, but now it is not motivated by rewards. It is something which comes to me naturally. I like to be sketching. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's good to draw. It is like a creative
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And sketching. My next question for you is, what is the difference that you see in this children that are in our generation and the children that were in your generation? Like, in your opinion, what is the major difference between these two generation children?
So I can't say much actually here, because uh, although okay, let me share whatever comes to me. I feel nowadays children are more, especially in urban lifestyles in cities. I don't know much about villages. I'm sure children in villages are more robust than and resilient than children in cities. In cities especially, I feel that owing to the fact that now we are just very separate families, all busy in their own little families, I feel that children are very, very much pampered, and also uh, very fragile, very delicate, as if that hota hai na, that as if you are not strong enough to have the blows of life. Earlier, as a child, we used to just roam around in the street and there was no one really watching us. Yeah. But here I see that all the time parents are watching their little children, whatever they are doing, supervising them all the time. There is this camera, spy eye of the parent on the child. While I was growing up, I see that although there was a supervision of my parents, definitely, but there was also a lot of freedom to explore and to connect with neighborhood, पड़ोसियों से मिलना, पड़ोसियों के बच्चों के साथ खेलना. तो मुझे लगता है वो आजकल के टाइम में डिपेंड्स अगेन ऑन द फैमिली दैट यू आर इन, that there is more constriction. We are very limited and narrow in our kind of views about rearing children, although it may be good in some aspects. But I feel then children are very fragile, they are very delicate, कि एक थपेड़ा पड़ा और गिर गए, almost like that. While we were children, we would just fall umpteen number of times, and there are no parents who can pick us up. We have to pick ourselves up. So that made us, I would say, that makes people more resilient, that they are happy to go forward even after kicks and blows in life. So that is one thing which I would like to say. Don't know much here that I would like to describe. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, my next question for you is, who has been your role model and why?
Role model.
Yes.
I would say many.
Okay.
Especially,
Some that you significantly
yeah,
looked up to while growing up.
yeah. So while growing up, I would say my parents, because I would see them working in and out, very diligent, as parents, taking care of us as children. And like for example, my father would take me really far, so that I could participate in drawing competitions. And I knew that he was doing it out of a good intention, in the sense that he wanted me to explore. Now that he knew that I like to sketch, so he wanted me to explore, and he really helped me very far to go forward in that domain. So as a child, I would say my parents, and slowly I would say I have learned through every person in my life. Little gurus are everywhere spread around. I have learned through my in-laws a lot. I've learned from my children. My children are my biggest gurus. I have also started a blog which I write little learnings from my two little children. One is 8 years old, and the other one is going to be 6.5. So children are full of joy, and they are also, I think, naturally very resilient, unless we as parents make them very fragile and delicate. So they would fall and then get up, and they would fall and then they would get up, like a child is doing. We see how a child learns to walk. He falls and then gets up. Now, unless the parents come in between and say, oh my god, you have fallen down, the child actually does not have much of a problem with falling down. The child is okay falling down. And this is something which as adults we miss, because we take our failures too much on our heart. Whenever we fail, whenever we make blunders in life, whenever we have mistakes in life, instead of dusting our pants off and learning a lesson through that failure, what we do is we think about it abusively. We think about it, and then guilt comes and shame comes. Why did I do that? Oh my god, I should not have done that. And that actually puts us in depression. Now, a child never goes in depression. A child, no matter how many mistakes he may be making, he would learn through his mistakes and go on. So that is something, and many other things which I have learned from my own children. And as I said, that each person that I have met has been a guru. I cannot say that there is only one role model that I follow. There are many masters that have helped me on the path and still help me even now on the path. Mother nature, how sun sets and comes up again every day, wanting to knock us up, wake us up. Learning from birds, learning from ants, learning from trees, learning from nature, learning from the beauty of clouds and sky. So I would not say that there is one particular role model which I look up to. And thankfully I have been granted with this grace that there is learning everywhere in our life. So that keeps me marching on and on. Yeah.
That is so true. Learning from everything that is surrounding us. My next question for you is, if any, could you tell us little about your organization and how does the student community benefit from it, and what can students do for it?
Yeah. So at Living Light, we have weekly sessions. Every week we have some or the other session. So on Monday we explore words of Kabirji, Tagoreji, and we see it into day-to-day context. Like, how is it important for me or practically relevant for me in my day-to-day life? That is how we reflect upon it. Not like only philosophy, also practical implications of what Kabirji is saying, what Tagoreji is saying, and why would he say that? Yeah. And we also have a YouTube channel by my name Monica Gulati, and also by the name Living Light, two channels, and where we keep on sharing uh, our recordings of these sessions that are held. And on Tuesday we have sessions on prayers and meditation by Mother and Sri Aurobindo, where sadhaks who are ready to, people who are ready to learn from words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, they join us. On Wednesday, we have Harmony Circles, where it is a sharing space where we pick up different topics like guilt, shame, loneliness. These topics are picked up from our own individual lives. And then you have to fill up a registration form, and then you can connect and participate in the session and share your reflections. On Thursdays, we have Savitri by Sri Aurobindo. Savitri reading, Savitri discussion by Sri Aurobindo. Again, you would get to know what Savitri is. I would not go into detail. Fridays, we discover the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, again in context of our day-to-day life. So every day there is one or the other session. Saturdays, we have at 8 o'clock at night, open sessions, free for everyone, where people can join in and tune in for a kind of a discussion or discourse that goes on. Every week there is a different topic. And as you were asking, how can student community benefit from us?
Yeah.
On Sunday, we have new series of sessions which is called Integral Life Education, based on the philosophy of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that how the inner light has to come forward. That is the sole purpose of education. If the inner light is not coming forward, not taking charge of your life, then the education has gone waste. So that is what we have started. Last Sunday was the first session. And on Sunday, 8 o'clock, I was also taking youth sessions where younger community would join, people in the age group of 18 to 28 years old, and they would share their challenges and share their disturbances or whatever difficulties they are going through, and then we will collectively discuss upon it, reflect upon it, so that we can gain deeper clarity. So for those of us, those of you young students who are interested in joining us, they can look at the website livinglight.in, and then they can connect with us that we would like to participate in the youth sessions, and then we can connect you how to participate.
It sounds really exciting for me, at least, something like
Yeah.
this. And it sounds really benefiting also, because because as youngsters, we go through so many things that it is necessary for us to talk about it or something.
Absolutely.
We will surely like to look into it.
Yeah.
And me and my viewers would like to look into
Yeah.
it. It is really benefiting. My next question for you is that if any student wants to join your organization, what are the qualities that you look in them?
So at the moment, I would say that we don't know, we don't have much to offer in terms of employment or even voluntary jobs. Although we are welcoming participation from, especially from seekers, from as you are asking, what are the qualities? The only quality is a wanting or a willingness to learn. That is the only quality that we need in life. I would say that a willingness to learn, a willingness to be a better and better and better and better version of yourself. I think that is the quality which takes care of everything else. uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
My next question is for you that what is that was turned out to be the biggest turning point in your life?
Okay, so biggest.
Like from that point, your life totally completely
Yeah,
changed.
yeah. I would say there is no black and white here. There are gradations. So I remember one day, uh, in when I was completing my PhD. So I think that it has happened for me in degrees, right? So there was not one day when my life completely transformed, but there were milestones definitely, that like in degrees I went, and now still going through deeper transformations. So the main day that I remember first that it happened was when I was trying to complete my PhD in Zurich, and I was not really wanting to do it. And it appeared like a big burden on my head that there is something in front of me which I don't resonate with, and there is a burden on me that I have to complete it. So I went to a hypnotherapist in Zurich itself, Switzerland, and that hypnotherapist, he took me to a very relaxed state, in guided meditation. And then what we discovered after 30 minutes of guided meditation, that I was not obliged to do this PhD for anyone, not even my parents. And that was as if a burden was lifted over from my chest, that I am free in my being, and I can do whatever I like, and I don't want to put this burden on myself. Although I remember how liberated I felt after that session. But in after 4 or 5 days of the session, I decided that if I am free, then I can also complete this PhD. So if I am truly free and not bound by any image of mine, then why not complete this? So I actually pushed myself to complete the PhD, and I think that has only helped me later on moving on in life. Uh, and after that, I followed what I wanted to follow. So that session helped me that I was free, first of all, knowing that I was free. I was not bound, or I was not obliged to kind of, prove myself to anyone, not even to my parents. And if they really loved me, they would even love me if I was not having a PhD, right? So that was a big burden, kind of transformating experience for me personally. And after that, I started to follow my heart mostly in whatever I did. After that, the second milestone, I would say, was diagnosed with cancer. That was the second milestone, where a deeper life opened up in front of me, and I was exposed to the idea of free will, that my happiness is in my hands. Whether somebody says something, the outer situation happens, I fail in a exam, I do not get a job, that is something outer. But how I react to that situation is depending on my free will. I can be in very, very contented and a happy situation even when the outer things are not truly very suitable to me. So that free will was something which was shown to me after I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was the second milestone, I would say. And the third milestone, I would say, is when I went through a very, very deep challenge in one of my relationships, and there I got more of an understanding of what is human pain and why is suffering there in human life, what is attachment, what is love. All that got revealed to me and is still getting revealed to me after that deep episode of intense pain and suffering that I went through my one of my relationships. I think that was the lowest that I went in my life, and that lowest also pushed me towards my highest, I would say. So that's what I wanted to share, that the all the things that appear very, very ugly and dark from face value, they have the potential to take you to very, very deep self of yours. And whenever you go deeper into yourself, you also have the potential to go higher and touch higher heights in your life. So these were the three milestones, I would say, if I can look at my life, that helped me to go further and revealed something to me.
It is. I am saying on my behalf of what I hear, and I read a lot about you also. It is really inspiring to see somebody like going through so much, but then also they come out to be so strong, and they even share it with people, and they try to make everybody strong. So it is so inspiring, especially on personally. I'm talking about myself. It is so inspiring for me to see you. When I read about you, when I was going to have this interview with you, I read about you, and I was truly, you say na, when we say that you need to have a role model, and then I started looking up at you, and I started reading stuff about you, and I started seeing about the healing sessions you were having. I read it about on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then it truly inspires me, truly, on the basis, like, it's like
Thank
so good.
Yeah.
I would like to ask my next question.
Yeah.
Do you have any future plans? Like, what do you aspire to achieve more in life?
So, Humaira, I would say that, there is only one thing that matters. It has become more and more clear, I would say, and I'm sure as I go ahead in my life journey, it would become more and more clear. For now, I would say all that matters for each one of us is how closer we are coming to our deeper self, what we call self discovery. And amazingly, what I have known until now, that there is no end to this self discovery. जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, what we say is that the divine is anant, the divine is infinite. And just like that, human beings, I would say, are also infinite beings. So all that matters in our life is how deeply, how intimately we are getting to know more and more about ourselves. And the more we know about ourselves, the more we know about the world, because world is nothing but a mirror that is there. So if I understand myself a little better, I would be able to understand the other person a little better. Yeah, so because the other person is not different than me. So I would say, that on this question that you have asked, that all that matters is Are we progressing in life? Are we purified, getting more and more purified and going towards beauty and our higher possibilities in our life? And if that is happening, each and every challenge or darkness that we go through is a very, very cheap price that we give for our progression. Very, very cheap price. All the failures, all the divorces, all the relationship issues, all the diseases that you go through, they are nothing in front of your progress. So give that price, pay that price, and march on and on and on. That is what I would say to this question. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My next question for you is that this is a platform where all students are watching and all students are hearing. Is there any message that you would like to convey to the students through this platform?
Yeah, sure. Why not? If I've gotten this chance, why not? Why would I miss the chance? So one would be that uh, stay stay very close to yourself. Stay your bestest friend. That is something that has helped me a lot. Because I feel that whenever we fail, whenever we make mistakes in our life, we begin to look at ourselves through other people. That what would that person say about me, what would that person think about me, and we feel really unworthy in ourselves. So that one thing that has helped me keep me strong even in my weakest of moments is that never ever leave your side. Be your bestest friend, because there would be times in your life when nobody is standing by you. I have myself gone through so many times that even my bestest of companions did not stand by me, because everybody has their own challenges and they would move on. So the only thing that matters to us is, am I standing by myself? Am I my bestest friend? And what do you do when you have a bestest friend? You stand by your bestest friend. Whenever you are going through a very weak period in your life, very challenging period in your life, just tell yourself, I am standing by your side, I am there by your side, and things will be okay. Things will be okay. So that is something which has helped me truly. It helps me still, and that is what I would like to share. The other thing is that give yourself something bigger to look up to. Give yourself, because little things will always be there in life. Imagine that there are two people who are arguing about a relationship issue. Imagine that two of us are sitting, right, and we are having a very heated argument about what you did to me and what I did to you, and we are fighting about it. Now all these issues will appear very, very heavy and important until everything is okay. Now the moment in that room there is fire, immediately you see that the fire is burning up in that room, you both will run and save your life. All those arguments will not be important to you anymore. Now this tells me that what is important in my life. My life is the biggest asset. So be very, very sure what you are making out of your life. And what is the best that we can make out of your life is to shine out your light bright. We all have talents in us. We all have little abilities, gifts that are given to us. It is very important to stay close to yourself, to be your bestest friend, and then to recognize those gifts and to nurture those gifts in your life. Give time to nurturing those gifts. Do spend time in art, spend time in music, because these are the things which keep you very close to yourself. Whenever you are spending time in art, sketching, or maybe music, singing, or playing an instrument, you don't need anyone else then. It's a very impersonal thing. You can keep yourself occupied with that kind of a beauty. So stay close with something which is very beautiful. Either these are words of masters and mystics, or something of art, music, and beauty, which will keep you going and going, and you will not be sucked in the little matters of life, which appear very, very big. But as we discussed, that if there is a fire in the room, we would be actually wanting to save our life and not trying to prove who is right, who is wrong. So there we get to know that life is the precious important thing. Human birth is a very, very important precious thing that we have got. Do not waste it in trivialities. Make your light shine out bright as much as you can. That is the message I would like to share. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My last question, last but not the least,
Yeah.
is that in your opinion, who do you think are the real champions in life? Like the real.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Humaira?
I think,
According to you, who would be a real champion?
according to me, the people who are true to their selves, the people who do not, like, they do not stay become champions to show others, but they are true to their self and they're trying to be the best version of themselves. That are, according to me, the real champions.
Beautiful.
Be it
Beautiful.
anybody.
Beautiful. So, absolutely with you. I think you all answered the question already, from my side. And I would quote Mother and Sri Aurobindo here. Mother says that be like flower, be like a flower is. Now, when we look at a flower, each flower is unique. There is no two flowers who are alike. Yeah, every flower is very, very unique. And that is how we are as human beings. We are very, very unique, although we are nothing but a speck of dust if you look at the whole universe. And yet, each speck of dust is very, very unique. And what we have to use this life, as you asked, who is a real champion? A real champion would be that who is not giving up, being a flower, beautifying himself, making himself more and more, worthy of beauty, worthy of grace, making oneself more and more uh, truly connected to our inner strength, deeper strength, no matter how many challenges we will face in life. And that makes us blossom like a flower. You are self absorbed, you are like a flower, and your fragrance will be spilling out from yourself. And you are not wanting to spill it out, but it's spilling out. So, as you already shared, I just added a few lines to it. Being a flower and helping yourself to blossom like a unique flower would be a real champion. Yeah, a champion who is not wanting to be a champion who is very content with himself. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. With this we come to the end of the session of the interview. It was really a pleasure for me personally because I look up to you. It is a really pleasure to get a chance to interview a great personality like you, and it was really benefiting for the students and everybody who's watching. Thank you so much for your precious time.
So I would just like to share, Humaira. I think you have said too many kind words for me. I am just a very, very simple, ordinary human being. I'm not a great personality. Just want to share it, especially because people are young who are watching it. I live in a very ordinary family. I have 2 kids, 1 husband. I live with my in-laws. The only thing, that matters is, are we making use of our challenges? I think that's enough. And that keeps us going. Yeah, please share. I think I cut you in between. Yeah.
No,
please
no,
go
I
ahead.
was just saying that you say you live an ordinary life. In an ordinary life, you make an extraordinary life that you live in. Not for the others, but for yourself. You make it extraordinary for yourself, which is what matters the most. Like in the
Thank you.
ordinary routine and
Yeah.
what you go through,
Yeah, I
but you
understand
make it
truly.
extraordinary.
Yeah, and I think that is something, Humaira, you would agree also that is something which is all of us, it is a birthright for all of us that in our little ordinary human lives, can we make it beautiful and extraordinary for our own selves, because we all deserve to have this beauty. So more power to your team, and it was a pleasure for me today to be there and talking to you, young fellows, and more power to each one of you, and may your light shine bright. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of the session with Dr. Monica Kalati. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.